I like this a lot. This is perfect.
Oh, we're watching a video?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Preacher. Let's talk about Azerite armor again. Again. But Blizzard have admitted defeat. They are going to be stopping you grinding out Azerite traits as of 8.2. So a little ways away, the Azerite armor is going to be changed so that you just get the stuff when it drops. That does make it. The irony is not lost. It basically makes it tier sets again. Yeah. But that's okay. That's okay. They said they weren't gonna do. They are going with the system we've been asking for since like alpha. Honestly, which is they're going to move stuff into the necklace and you're going to work on stuff within the necklace itself, and the armor will just no longer really be a thing. Just consider it sort of like a different style of tier set is how I would look at it. Hallelujah! The knee-jerk reaction to this, I'm sure by many of you is, thank fucking Christ, dude!
There it is.
Oh my God, like...
Why is he running around the Warglaive?
We saw this coming from a mile away that this was not going to work. God. It was so obvious to so many that this system sucked nuts. It was the absolute worst. And the hypocrisy that came with the system was crazy. It's super rare, super hard to get.
There's a forum post bashing me on the classic forums.
Pray that you get
I might look at that. We'll see what happens.
Out of an Azerite chest, something I'm still waiting for, by the way, even after all this time. And
RNG, by the way.
At the same time, they rebalanced and rejigged the traits to make them not that interesting and tried to make them all kind of the same. It's like, well, what's the point in it being rare then? And then they added a vendor in, and it's like, what is this system?
They've gone back on everything they said they were going to do with Azerite.
And now you want us to grind world quests and island expeditions to unlock stuff that I have right now, but I need it in the future. It's so stupid. So dumb. And it's going away. It is going to go away. So that would be the knee-jerk reaction. I chose those words carefully because we have a great number of questions to be asked now. And yes, I am happy that this is changing. There's no doubt about that. I am certainly happy about this is changing. I'm not looking for something else to whine about. That's not the point. But we have to ask some important questions now. We really do. I want to talk conspiracy theory with you for a minute because there are some interesting conspiracy theories.
This is my favorite, dude.
The system, and some of them aren't that weird, actually. I don't put a lot of stock into conspiracy theories, and the reason I didn't make a video like immediately after this, like, gotta get a video out immediately, was because I was kind of like, okay, this does raise a lot of questions that we need to think about a little bit before we approach the subject, because I want to put this theory to the forefront of all the number of conspiracy theories out there right now regarding this change.
Okay.
The one that's interesting to me is that the decision to do this was made back in beta, and that kind of holds water, and that's why I think it's interesting, because it does have, as much as I don't just want to regurgitate a conspiracy theory, there is some potential adverse effects depending on how this decision was reached. So I'll tell you a conspiracy theory, and then we can quickly run over what may have happened. Firstly, is that we noticed, like, we're basing this, I'm not saying I'm not involved, but the theory is based in reality of what we saw happening. And we've been over the timeline a few times on the channel, but in case you haven't, let's reiterate it because it makes some sense. We had the Azerite system coming in, but it was delayed forever on the alpha and beta. We never saw a single piece of Azerite armor for a really long time. And then it appeared, but it appeared with no communication whatsoever. It was just the quest reward you get at the start.
That sounds familiar.
All that appeared on the BFA beta.
I never really played the BFA beta that much.
The Heart of Azeroth,
I just climbed the mountain and quit.
Is that you instantly received your first piece of Azerite armor to get you into it. That was all we got until a week before the beta ended. That was it. That was like all we got. And then a week before the beta ended, the Azerite armor vendor appeared. In between that period of time, though, we were told that all the class changes were pretty much done, which was really sad, because we can go back and we can say, and we can see videos like what I made, which was like, the classes are jank. They're bare bones. They barely do anything. None of the spells have synergy. It's so weird. They're just like very busted-ass classes, and the Azerite armor has a lot to do. I believe that was the title of the video. The Azerite armor has a lot to live up to in order to make these classes fun. And that's what we were hoping for. We want fun classes. And the idea of rental abilities and temporary gains was a big feature here, because at the time we'd also lost all our legendary abilities, we had lost all our artifact abilities, and they started to appear randomly as talents and stuff, which wasn't the solution, because it meant we were losing other talents. They weren't really gains. So we were told the class changes were pretty much done, and then shortly after that, they started making a huge amount of sweeping class changes, like super quickly. Over the course of about 7 days, many classes started receiving these weird changes, and then we had a Q&A saying everything's on hold now till 8.1. We're not doing anything. So what happened in that
still
period,
buy the
and
game.
that's where people are suggesting is that
Still buy it. We'll
they
fix it later.
finally accepted what people were saying, and the feedback they were receiving is that this Azerite system just doesn't work. It's full of problems. From start to finish, this just isn't going to pay off long term. It's a bad system. It's not going to be good. And it seems like in the eyes of many, Blizzard agreed, and they realized that. They were like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. This is going to suck. This has so many problems with it. But what are we going to do? And
what's the
theory is
conspiracy?
that back then they decided we're going to have to scrap this system at some point. We need to start working on something else right now in the background. Now, what adds more weight to this is it has seemed over the past couple of months, especially, that a lot of strides have been made just to kind of make the Azerite armor system tick over until the new system is ready. So what we saw was, as I mentioned earlier, the rebalancing of the traits, where Blizzard was saying, it doesn't really matter what trait you get. Yes, some of them are broken and busted, mainly because we never got to test them on the beta. Like I say, we didn't get them till the last week, pretty much. So they were like, we're going to keep this thing to be super rare, and we want you to get multiple sets of it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work. You can't do that. You can't say it's super rare, but we want you to collect many pieces. Like,
okay.
Right. So the counter to that is, while there are better traits, we kind of now going to rebalance it so that they're all the same-ish, and it shouldn't really matter. So we now have a
that
super
makes
rare
things
system
exciting.
that
Is
you're
whenever nothing matters.
rebalancing, so we shouldn't really care about it. And that's where it starts to lean on the idea of this system isn't meant to last. Obviously, this isn't going to work out. It's actually getting worse. And then we've obviously had things like the Azerite vendor coming in. We have Titan Residue now, which is like a way of purchasing the exact piece you want should you get screwed over. We had the Mythic Plus cash change.
This isn't really that good of
to get a regular
This
source
isn't
of
that
Azerite
much of a
in there.
conspiracy.
That was changed without warning, without communication. All these changes seem to conflict with the idea that this system was supposed to last long term. Obviously, the original intention of the system was not in play anymore. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. It's received so many changes and so many twists and turns along the way that whatever the original idea for this system was is now completely in the bin.
I'm waiting for the
Not
conspiracy.
8.2, it's in the bin now. We can now buy it. The traits don't really matter anymore. They've ditched some traits. They've brought some new ones back in. But they also gave us the next ring of traits, which is what you're going to see after Christmas when the new raid comes out. But they contain the same traits for the most part. Like, there are some new ones, but for the most part, they're just the same traits we've already had, again, since we started BFA, since level 100, 110. They're still identical. You just have less chance of being screwed over. That's basically the tiding over effect. Instead of them being new, interesting things that were different from the original ones, they're just another ring of the same traits again. So you're less likely to get screwed over. Again, not a long-term solution, is it? By any means. Not a long-term,
like conspiracy spelled
system,
wrong?
and certainly not one that warrants the rarity
no,
of
that's
getting the
spelled
really
correctly.
good ones.
I'm pretty
it just
sure.
Doesn't make any sense.
Maybe I'm wrong,
So,
but I think it is.
That points to the idea that for a long time, Blizzard has known they're going to be dropping this system at some point, and therefore investing heavily into trying to fix it and make it work is not viable, which is something we suggested in the beta. We suggested then that it seems like the system is busted and Blizzard isn't sure what to do, and they're trying to rejig the classes to make it work and so on and so forth. Now, the reason I bring this theory up, whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. The effect of this is either the next system we're going to be getting. So what they're going to do is basically, I could imagine in my mind, and it may be different. I hope it's something better. But the likelihood is the Heart of Azeroth will start to have an artifact, a Legion artifact weapon style tree in it. And that's where AP is going to be going. Now, the reason we say this is they don't want to drop AP. I guess that's kind of good. There's no doubt about that
It's
whatsoever.
better than Azerite
They do not want to drop AP. They want something for you to be grinding out. They want you to care about this system. They want it to make sense and not just fall flat on its face. So the likelihood is that you won't be grinding Azerite traits anymore. You'll simply be unlocking traits within the necklace, similar to what you did with the artifact weapon, which is, again, something people have been asking for a while. Why do I have this necklace which is entirely useless, yet it takes up a gear slot just to represent a number? Like, what's the point? It makes so little sense to take up a gear slot, even one as dull as the necklace, just so it can have a number on it, and that's it. It doesn't. It's a very weird thing to do.
Number.
Now, this all adds up to the question about what the heart is going to do. If the conspiracy theorists are right, and it started back in beta that they started working on this system, knowing they were going to drop Azerite armor in its current iteration, then that
so
means
the
there's been a lot of
conspiracy is that they
development
never
time
planned
going
on
on in the
finishing
background about
Azerite
what
to
the
begin
heart
with.
of Azeroth is going to do. The alternative to the conspiracy theory, of course, is that because it's just been received so badly, it's not working out whatsoever, is that very, very recently, as in maybe within the last couple of weeks, the decision was made, and now the developers have got to scramble to come up with something good for the necklace before 8.2, which is when it's promised to happen. That's the reason I'm bringing up the conspiracy theory, because obviously there's a massive difference in what we might get depending on how much time has been thrown at this.
Know.
Is it a relatively rushed thing, or is it something Blizzard's been working on for months already?
Seems a little bit
ridiculous. We won't find out until we see it. That's the thing. Will we get something rather dull, which just seems to be tiding people over as something to unlock? And that's what I've been talking about a little bit, is you can't just have a system purely because it has something to unlock. That's not good game design. That's not interesting. That's not fun. Just having something to unlock will appease some players, but it's hardly going to make them cream their pants at the idea.
It's about right.
If it's had lots of time put into it, maybe it's going to be something cool and interesting. Now, I know many people are pessimistic, but it really depends as to which side you ascribe to. And there's a lot of evidence that, yeah, Blizzard was probably planning to drop the Azerite system for a while now. It explains a lot of the changes
by the way. Great decision.
A lot of the leeway and
I don't know why they didn't do that at the beginning.
Stance on the Azerite system, knowing it was going to go away pretty much anyway in 8.2. I have some questions then. The first and foremost is, Blizzard, can we test the Heart of Azeroth sooner rather than later in terms of what it is? Can we go back to the Legion system where you give it us with loads of time to check it out, test it, find out what's jank? Because that worked out pretty well for the Legion artifact weapons. We had them from day one of the classes coming out on the alpha.
I think that did help a lot.
They released the
people gave a lot of feedback
in a limited way, if you remember. We only got access to certain specs in the alpha, but all of them came with their artifact weapons, and we got so much time to mess with them. And they were iterated on so many times. You might remember certain classes, like a Fury Warrior is always the famous one. It was iterated on like 15 times, and some would say for worse, some would say for better. But that's not the point. The point was
for worse.
Communication. They were giving us lots of time to play around with it. We worked with them. We did our best. And we're not saying we're the best. We're not saying we're developers or whatever. And they can choose to ignore any and all feedback. But
yes, they can.
They were listening, and they made some suggestions. They implemented suggestions the community comes up with. Because ultimately, you can be the best game dev in the world, but until you throw it in front of millions of people, you might not see issues that other people see. And that's what works out. That's the whole point of doing this kind of testing. So please, God, don't repeat what we did with the Azerite armor, where you're like, well, here's the Heart of Azeroth, and we're not going to say anything about it, and you get it like a week before the patch comes out. Let's not do that. Please, for the love of God, let us get in there. And let us all pray it's going to be something relatively interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to happen or not.
While they're doing this, and I have to make this request, as I seemingly always have to, you're now changing the system, Blizzard. You've admitted defeat on this, and that's great. That's really cool. We're fine with that. That's awesome. You tried something, it didn't work. All right, fine. Can we put Azerite power back into various sources again, as it was originally intended to do? Can you put it back into raids? Can you put it back into Mythic Plus? Can you put it back into PvP? Can you put it back into any content that players choose to enjoy?
That'd be great.
Please.
Holy shit, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Constant bullshit, right?
That's what we've been waiting for.
To make strives to make the World Quest system better than it was in Legion, then let's not take away the other aspects of it. Some people don't like islands. Some people do. It doesn't need to be this way. It's very simple. Does it really hurt Blizzard in any way to have people grinding Mythic Plus for artifact power? There is no Maw of Souls this time round. That's not a thing.
It's because nobody likes doing Mythic Plus.
Where they get their AP from, as long as they're enjoying themselves? Does it?
Well, it matters if they're enjoying themselves, because if they are, then Blizzard's going to fix it.
Is Blizzard can be a bit proud. I've talked about this a number of times. Then it comes across that they're proud. And they don't like... I don't think they like it when the community says no to a system they think is really cool. I don't think they like that. And that's understandable. But sometimes you've got to bite the bullet. If I release a video and everyone tells me I'm a piece of shit for it, I have to accept that maybe my opinion was wrong. Right?
No, not really.
I might have truly believed something, but it looks like I was probably wrong in the eyes of many. That's fine.
That's happened to me
many
many
times. That's
just
the nature of things. The system is just... You can't make a Heart of Azeroth grind that's super obnoxious just to make AP work. And if that's the thought process, is like, well, they won't care about AP. Put in something like Concordance again. Yep. That's fine. Have a natural endpoint that people can grind past if they want, but it's not a big deal if they don't want to. That's totally okay. They still get some power gains, but they're not overwhelming. They get the main bulk of their stuff as they work.
It's basically how Azerite armor was supposed to be.
Good. But let's have some sort of reasonable endpoint where people can relax and do whatever content they want without it being an issue. Or choose not to. If some people only want to play a few hours a week but still enjoy certain aspects, that's fine too. That's all good. Let's stop trying to force people to be online, because I don't like, and I know this is a big thing amongst many, I don't like the idea, maybe it's true, but I don't like the idea that many systems are developed just to make sure you log in every day. Then that's it. That's the primary driving goal, is to make sure you log in every day and do something so that you can report I guess the players are doing whatever. That's terrible. That's the worst. That should not be a good reason to do these things. That's not a justifiable reason, at least in a video game perspective. At least for me as a player. I don't like a system that seems to be just like, we're going to put this obnoxious system in just to make sure you log in, even if you're enjoying yourself or not. Like, that's not good. So those are my thoughts on it. I want to see your questions on it. Do you think it was rushed? Do you think this is a snap decision? Do you think they've been at this for a while? Let's wait and see. 8.2 beckons in quite some time. It's got a ways to go before we get there. But this is the last time we'll be grinding out Azerite traits. That does not mean it is the last time we will be grinding. Notice the difference. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
It's all right. Like, I don't know if it was a conspiracy, but I wouldn't be that surprised. Don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's most likely what happened. Like, they've got to get their shit together over there. I don't know what's going wrong, but it's just like one thing after another, man. One thing after another. The Azerite armor is probably the biggest mistake they've made since WoD, and by the way, actually since Legion Legendaries, let's be honest. It hasn't been that long, but it's just pretty fucking stupid that they just keep doing the same shit over and over. I don't know, man. Guys, I'm sick. I